Are you struggling to find the right guidance for your UPSC prelims and mains? Our GS Foundation course is just designed for you in both online and offline mode. Delhi and Bangalore based experienced faculty. Learn from the experts who knows UPSC inside out. Daily mains answer writing with instant evaluation and daily current affairs classes with current affairs monthly maxim. Remember one thing, we are the only one who are providing GS Foundation course along with daily answer writing practice with daily current affairs classes and monthly maxims. One-to-one personalized mentoring to clear all your doubts. Weekly test series with detailed evaluation feedback. And I will be available all the day in the institute from morning to evening just for you. The best part is all of this we are providing at an incredibly affordable price. Don't be late to join because this program is exclusively for serious aspirants who want to transform their preparation. Our new batch starts from 15 September onwards. Don't miss this opportunity because limited seats available. To enroll or for more details, please contact us on this number. Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 13 September 2025. So let's get started with our discussion. So before getting started, I want to make a small announcement. With our academy, we are going to start new batch for prelims cum mains foundation from this 15th of September. So if you want to know further more details or if you have any queries regarding this course, you can contact us on this number 8074765513 or else you can visit directly our academy which is located in Ashok Nagar, Hyderabad. Okay, now let us see the first article. Say the title, guys. Sushila Karki sworn in as Nepal's first woman prime minister. So as you all know that there is instability in Nepal, right? So what is the reason behind that instability in Nepal? Ban of social media apps. So this article is talking about India-Nepal relations. So you know about the background. So because of ban of around 26 social media apps in Nepal, that led to outrage among this Gen Z, that is nothing but youth population, and they went for protest and even they tried to enter into this parliament, and finally Prime Minister of this Nepal imposed curfew, and in this curfew many people they died and many were injured, and finally because of all this protest those social media apps were restored again, and that Nepal prime minister he resigned, and now there is a new prime minister for this Nepal, and she is the first woman prime minister of Nepal. Okay, whenever you are writing about women empowerment related answers, you can also add this article as an example that recently the first woman prime minister of Nepal is Sushila Karki. Okay, so from that point of view, this article is very important. And whenever you are quoting about important personalities, you can also include this personality because actually this person was former Chief Justice of Nepal. Okay, so because of this, whenever you're adding any examples of women empowerment and women leading important roles in the country, then you can also take this person as an example. For that point only, I took this article. Okay, so just note down this person. She's the first woman prime minister of Nepal, and she also worked as Chief Justice of Nepal. Okay, now let us see the next article. Your title says ending India's Russian oil imports is top priority. So this article is again talking about which important topic? India-US relations, right? So actually this article is saying that yes, US top priority is to stop India's imports of crude oil from Russia. Okay, now let us see this article. So this is talking about India-US relations. And this article is important from again GS paper 2 under international relations. So now recently US president he gave a statement. So this statement is the top priority of US is to reduce imports of crude oil of India from Russia. They are focusing on especially crude oil imports of India on Russia. So why US has its top priority of decreasing or ending of these imports? The reason here is US wants to show big brother attitude. The first one is It want to show big brother attitude in the world. And next one is US wants to mediate Russia-Ukraine war. So as part of mediation or ending of this Russia-Ukraine war, now US wants to hit this economy of Russia. So if economy of Russia is hit badly, then they'll be not getting proper finances to continue the war. So actually the major chunk of this Russian economy is now getting from this energy. Okay, in this energy, they are exporting oil to other countries, that is crude oil, and next one is they're also exporting gas to other European countries. So they are focusing on India's crude oil because India is majorly importing around 40 percentage of our crude oil imports from this Russia, and it is forming the major chunk of Russian economy. So US wants to hit this economy of Russia by ending this crude oil imports of India from this Russia, guys. Okay, now you guys tell me what is the impact of this kind of statements made by this US? Do it have any impact? So what about our bilateral relations? Can we maintain good relations if country is making such kind of statements? So what happens? The impact will be there will be disturbances between India and US relations now. And next, what happens? So, as you all know, that India and US are partners of major groupings. What are those major groupings? We have Malabar, and we have Quad, and also we have G20. So in many organizations, India and US, they are both members. So in that members also, in that grouping where India and US are members, so in that also the functioning of that overall organization will be affected. Okay, functioning of different organizations will be affected. And as you all know that there is imposition of 50 percentage of tariff on Indian goods by US. So because of this already it is affecting our economy, right? And one more article which is there in our today's newspaper says that because of this tariffs, so even there is increased inflation in our market. Okay, so all these are the impacts. And now let us see this article clearly, what they are saying exactly. So if you see this article, they are saying that ending India's Russian oil imports is seen as a top priority for multiple reasons. So US is saying that we have multiple reasons why we have to end this import of Russian oil. That is, first one is geopolitical impacts or geopolitical reasons, economic reasons, and as well as diplomatic pressures. Especially in September 2025, due to rising US tariffs and growing calls for alignment with Western sanctions on Russia. So actually, recently, US came up with this Russian Sanction Act, right? So in that Russian Sanction Act, what US said, so we are going to impose tariffs up to 500% on the countries which are importing this crude oil or gas from this Russia. So as a part of that, US is importing 25% of tariff on our Indian goods. We know this, right? So here, why they are saying that ending is a priority? Because US under President Donald Trump imposed steep tariffs around 50% on Indian exports in response to India's continued purchase of Russian oil. So because of this imposition of sanctions, because of this Western countries' pressure, here India need to stop this imports. The first reason they are saying that is because of this pressure, because of this sanctions fear, we have to decrease this imports. And second one is US also accuses India of profiteering from discounted Russian crude oil, and it seeks coordinated international action. So Western countries argues that ending of imports helps to curtail Russian revenue. So actually Western countries are saying that if you want to stop this Russia-Ukraine war, we have to decrease the revenue of Russia. So here this is second important point. They are saying that if you want to stop this, yes, we have to stop this imports. And next one here is India is purchasing very huge, there is a large amount of this crude oil from this Russia. It is around 40 percentage of total crude oil imports. So it is one of the lifeline of Russian economy. So because of this, we have to stop this. And what will be the impact if you are stopping this complete imports of Russian oil? Do we have any impact? So because of this fear of yours, let us take India made zero imports, 0% imports from Russia now. So do we have any impact in India? What will be the impact? So now if we are not importing our oil from Russia, actually we are importing 40%. Now we have to go and search with other countries whether they are going to provide this oil or not. So first one is we have to go for diversification of our supply chains. So first impact will be diversification of supply chains. And the second impact will be, do they provide discounted price as this Russia is giving? No, for sure. So here what happens? There will be increasing of crude oil prices. So whenever there is increasing of crude oil prices, so from this crude oil, we will do fractional distillation and we will produce diesel, kerosene, petrol, naphthalene, etc. Right? So what about the cost of this diesel and petrol that we commonly use in our vehicles? Obviously, it will be raised. So whenever diesel and petrol price increases, overall transportation price obviously increases, or logistic services cost will be also increases. So overall prices of goods in the market will be increases. Whenever prices will increases in the market, that condition is called as inflation. So that will leads to inflation, right? And apart from that, do we have any other impacts? So actually, who will convert this crude oil into diesel, petrol, or naphthalene or kerosene? We have oil refineries companies, right? So these oil refinery companies normally now they are getting oil at discounted price, so that these private companies in this oil refineries we have both public, that is government, and as well as private companies. So private companies are getting more profit, right? So now because of this discounted price, we are getting more profit. And what happens if we are getting this same crude oil from the Western countries which are not providing this oil at a discounted price? What about this profit of these companies will be it increases or decreases? It will be decreases. Okay, so whenever the profit is decreasing, can they go for more production? Obviously, no. So, whenever they are not going for more production, what about employment opportunities? Obviously, decreased employment opportunities in this sector. That will lead to increasing of unemployment. Again, this will be a problem for our economy. So these all will be the impacts because of the statement which is given by US, and if you are blindly following that instruction of US guys. So now you guys tell me, will we have to listen to other countries or will we have to focus on our country's people and as well as public safety, public concerns? So what is your idea? We have to always think about our people, which is suitable or which is benefiting our people. We have to take that kind of decisions. So you need to have a proper stand, because if you become an IFS officer, then if you are like posted in the embassy of India in US, then you have to mediate all these things. So you have to be very much clear like how other countries policies will be influencing on our country and how balancedly we have to deal with that. Okay, so now let us see this impact. The first one is energy security risk. So actually in India, we are getting crude oil around 35 to 40%, as I said, from this Russia. It is around 1.75 to 1.8 million barrels. You can see how much amount that we are importing. There are 1.75 to 1.8 million barrels per a day just from Russia. Apart from this Russia, we are getting from West Asian countries, and even from US, we are getting around 5 to 7% of crude oil. So you can see like how much amount of oil that we need every day to run our economy. Okay, so here abruptly when we cut this supply of this crude oil from this Russia, it means it is losing the cheapest oil source. So because of this, what happens? We have to spend some billions of dollars on this crude oil every day, which is more, which will be burden on our exchequer. And next one here is refinery margins and cost. Indian refiners, they are benefited from this discounted Russian oil. If you are getting this oil from other countries, now we will not going to get at this discounted prices, so that the profit margin will be decreased for this private oil refinery companies. And this one is forex reserve. So if you are getting this oil other than this Russia, we have to pay in return in the dollars. So our forex reserves will be getting depleted. Okay. And next one here is supply diversification. We have to search for the countries which will provide oil. Okay, now to India, if you're stopping from Russia, again it will be a problem for our country. So all these will be the impacts of this statement. Okay. And now let us see the next article, see the title. Retail inflation climbs to 2.1% in August after a 9-month decline. So from 9 months onwards, there is declining of inflation, but now again we had increased inflation, that too retail inflation. So actually you did with your chapter called as inflation in your economy, right? So what is the meaning of inflation? Whenever there is increasing of price of goods and services in the market is called as inflation. So how many types of inflation we have? And this is very important chapter. You may get mains and prelims both questions from this inflation chapter of your economy. Okay, so inflation is nothing but there is a general tendency of rise of prices in market for goods and services. So this inflation we have different types. We have demand pull inflation. Next one is cost push inflation. And next one is built-in inflation. What is demand pull inflation? Whenever there is increasing of demand for a good in a market, then obviously the price will be increased. For example, I own a bakery, I have only 10 cakes. But for that 10 cakes, there are 100 people who are standing in a queue. Then who will give the more price for me? I will be giving that cake. So that is called as demand pull. And next one is cost push. So if I want to make that cake, I need to get atta, I need to add cream, I need to decorate that. So if there is increasing of raw material cost, then obviously I will be increasing the price of that cake. So that will lead to this cost push. And this one is built-in inflation. Built-in inflation is nothing but whenever there is change in the lifestyle of people, then what happened? There will be changing in the priorities. For example, before getting job, you will be having food in a normal hotel. But after getting job, will you go to that roadside hotels? No, not at all. It is a prestige issue now. So we will be going to the 5-star hotels. So in the same way, before getting job, we will be using normal rice. We will be not focusing on much protein based diet. But once you start earning, you will be trying to get protein rich diet, at least chicken, mutton, and paneer like that. So because of this changing of lifestyle, whenever there is changing of priority of the foods or priority of the goods, then what happen? Obviously, that will lead to the increasing of that price of that good. That is called as built-in inflation. Normally, before getting job, you might be using this public transport system, but after getting job, what will do? If you are earning, you want your own private vehicle, and whenever your income is increasing from two-wheeler to four-wheeler, and initially you will be buying like a normal four-wheeler, and later on you will be buying luxury goods. So what happens whenever there is changing of lifestyle, and the priority of the goods and services will be also changed. So because of that, whenever there is increase in the demand of certain kinds of goods because of this changing of lifestyle, then that is called as built-in inflation. And here how can we measure this inflation? We have certain indices. What are they? Wholesale price index, and we have retail price or CPI, right? So this inflation can be measured at two levels. So what is that? First one is at wholesale price or wholesale level. So what is a wholesale? So we have a manufacturer who will be producing goods in bulk. So here to that manufacturer directly one person will come and he will buy the goods at the bulk. For example, there is a lace company. So this lace company will produce around, let us take 1 lakh units, 1 lakh lace packets per day. So here a manufacturer will come and he'll be buying like 10,000 lace packets like that. And what this guy will do, he will go to nearby shops and he'll be selling like 50, 50, 50 like that. So what we people do, we'll go to the nearby shop and we'll be buying one chips packet or two chips packet. So this person is a wholesaler where he'll buy the goods in the bulk from directly manufacturer. Okay. And who are the retailers? You and me, who will go to the nearby shop to buy one or two chips packets based on our demand. Okay. So at these two people level, that is at the wholesaler level and at the retailer level, so we will be checking this rate or increasing of price. So at the wholesale level, whenever we are checking that, that index is called as wholesale price index. At the retailer level, whenever we are checking this rise of price, it is called as CPI. And in the CPI, we have different types. So all these retailers, there are some people who are working in agriculture, some people who are working in this industries, and some people will be like both. Whenever they are having work in this agriculture, they'll be going into this agriculture. Whenever there is no season of employment there, they'll migrate and they'll do work in urban areas, right? So because of this, here we have CPI at agriculture level, CPI at industrial level, and we have CPI at combined. Like that we have four types. Okay. So in this way we will measure. So now this article is talking about this at retail level or at retailer situation. So there is increasing of price and there is increase 2%, 2.1, yeah, 2.1 percentage of increased price in the month of August. Okay, so now what you have to see is you have to cover entire your basic part that you studied in your economy class. Open your class notes and revise all those things, and you have to see like which organization will be giving that indices also. So UPSC will ask mostly questions in this area, guys. Who will release? What is the difference? What? Why? How many types? What is the base year? Everything they'll ask questions from this area. Okay, so now this article is saying that retail inflation climbs 2.1 percentage in August after 9 months decline. So we know that there is decreasing of inflation. So what is the normal inflation that we have to maintain in our country? What is the percent? 4 plus or minus 2. That means we have to maintain inflation around 2 to 6%, right? Okay, so here this article is said that compared to that of earlier month, there is 2.1 percentage of increase in this inflation. So here what you have to see, here you have to see what are the reasons for this inflation increase now. So now you guys tell me what might be the reason. What do you think? Huh? Tariff problem, okay, next. Only tariff? Yes, money circulation. Whenever money increases in the market, what happens? Obviously, it will lead to increasing of price. For example, if I have more money in my hands, what will do? Instead of buying that or instead of bargaining, I'll go and I'll simply give the money what they ask, or even sometimes I'll give them more money also. So because of that, obviously, what happened? Inflation can happen. Right? Next, money supply. So even what government did in the recent months. So in this, do you know this fiscal policy and monetary policy? Whenever we have inflation in the market, so we have to control that. So for controlling of that inflation, we have RBI and we have government, or we can take central government for your convenience. Central government we have on one side and we have RBI on one side. So what are the steps taken by RBI? What it is called as MP, monetary policy, not member of parliament, it is monetary policy. And what are the steps taken by the central government? It is called as fiscal policy. What RBI will do in this monetary policy? It will increase or decrease interest rates. So what happened in the recent past from last 1 to 2 months? You are seeing that there is decreasing of interest rates, especially RR, repo rate. What is repo rate? Okay, so repo rate is nothing but here we have RBI and here we have normal banks. Okay, whatever it may be. So these banks, they'll go to RBI and they will borrow money. So RBI will not give money without interest, right? So now these banks, they have to pay interest rate for this RBI, right? So this interest rate is called as repo rate. If it is reverse repo rate. You know that concept, right? So what RBI did is decreasing of repo rate. So why? Because to control inflation, RBI recently took steps called as decreasing of repo rate. So because of this decreasing of repo rate, what happens? Now banks will borrow more amount of money. So whenever these banks are borrowing more amount, then what they do? They will give more loans. They will lend more in the form of loans. So because of this, people will be having more money in their hands. So if they're having more money, obviously that will lead to again inflation. This is the one thing. And what central government did? So central government in this steps called as fiscal policy. What it will do in this fiscal policy? It will focus on two things under this fiscal policy. One will be increasing or decreasing of taxes. Second one, what it will do? Increase or decreasing of public spending. What is this public spending? It includes infrastructure projects or in developmental projects. So if they want to construct anything, they need labor. Without labor, they can't. So whenever they are recruiting labor, so government will be giving salaries or like we can say like day work labor charges like that. That is minimum wages like that. So that people will be getting money into their hands and obviously that will lead to inflation. So actually what happened here is there is increased public spending from the government side, especially they are coming up with infrastructure projects. So because of that also that led to inflation. And not only that, recently in these taxes, how many types of taxes we do have? Direct taxes and indirect taxes. So actually government came up with exemptions to the direct taxes also. There is increased brackets, right? That means there is decreasing of taxes, direct taxes happen. And apart from that, even recently do government came up with any reforms in GST? What are those reforms? Removal of two slabs itself directly. So earlier we used to have 0%, 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%. Now we have 5% and uh, 18%, right? So because of this, what happened again? Taxes decreased or increased? The amount that you have to pay is obviously decreased. That means you are saving money. You are having more money in your hands. Again, that will lead to inflation or not? So these are the reasons why now there is increased inflation. Whatever you said in your class, in your notes, application. Economy is just application. So if you understand concept once, it is done for economy. It is not like other subjects. So if you understand concept, then again you have to apply that what is happening. Because economy you will see in your daily life. So how much money that coming to your account and how you are spending is nothing but your economy. And even every day what government is doing, what people are doing, and normally you listen this money value padipotundi, like that, the decreasing of value of money and increasing of money. So people are having money, no one is having money. Everything is nothing but what government is doing and what RBI is doing. Okay, you'll see daily in your daily life only. So economy, if you understand once, you never and ever forget these concepts. Okay, so application part, that's it. So now let us see, apart from this RBI's policy and fiscal policy, are there any reasons now we are in monsoon season, especially July, August and even September, right? So because of this, do we have any impact, especially what is happening in this Himalayan regions, mini cloud burst, flash floods? So do it have any impact on the economy? Obviously. And what about rainfall? Is that rainfall is uniform throughout our country? In some areas we have heavy rainfall where it is causing floods. It is also causing damage to the crops. And what about other areas? Inadequate rainfall, it will also causes droughts. So because of this, is there any impact on our agriculture produce? Obviously. Without proper food, can we survive? No. So here the first one is food prices rebound happened. That means there is increased certain goods prices, especially vegetable prices in the market. Meat, fish, fat, eggs, and personal care products. So all this had happened. And next one here is especially price increase in vegetables, which had been earlier saw double-digit negative inflation, again rebounded now. And next one is base effect is also having some impact. And next one here is wet weather impact because of above average rainfall and crop concerns. The crops that we have sown during the summer season like rice, cotton, soybean and pulses, they became vulnerable now because of this unpredictable rainfall and heavy rainfall. And even whatever the goods that we are importing like edible oil, so in that so and so areas also there is increased price. And apart from this, as I said, monetary policy impact is there and fiscal policy impact is there, that led to increased inflation now in the month of August, guys. And if you see in the next month, furthermore increasing of inflation because from this August 27th onwards, only this 50% tariff had been started, right? So in the month of September, of course, it will be much more beyond. You can see that in the next month report. Okay, now let us see the next article. Title says firecracker ban should not be only in Delhi, says CJI. So what is this article talking about? Firecracker ban. So why we have to go for firecracker ban? So why this is in news now? So in the month of November, December, January and even till February, you will be getting articles regarding Delhi air pollution, air quality, firecrackers, because this is a season, right? Now we are going to have which festivals? Dasra is there, Diwali is there, Christmas is there, New Year is there. So in all these festivals, what we'll do? We'll enjoy a lot by bursting of these crackers. So without crackers, we won't enjoy such festivals, yes or no? So actually Diwali is a festival of lights. What we'll do, it is a festival of sounds. It is a festival of smoke. It is a festival of pollution. We are creating like that. So because of this, what happened, especially some regions which are already vulnerable, especially metropolitan cities, they are having this problem of overpopulation and as well as over pollution. And in these regions, whenever we are going for this firecracker burst, that will lead to the more air pollution. So normally what happens here is every year there is a trend which is going on is banning of firecrackers bursting in New Delhi. So now here CJ said that why only Delhi? So we have to impose across the country uniformly because not only Delhi, we have more metropolitan cities and major tier 2, tier 1 cities also we have. In that areas also there is increasing of trend of urbanization, increased trend of migration from rural areas to urban areas is happening. So because of this, we have to impose ban throughout our country. So that is the idea which is came up by our CJI, and this topic is very important from your environment and ecology. And actually there is some correlation. That is in these festivals only will burst the crackers, and all these festivals comes in which time? Winter season. So what happens in this winter season? We have low temperature or high temperature? Low temperature. So whenever we are having low temperature, okay, we have low temperature. So in this low temperature, which pressure which forms? High pressure will forms, right? So whenever we have low temperature, air will be cold. So whenever air is cold, it is very, very dense and it is very heavy. So because of this, air will be exerting more pressure on this surface. So because of this, we will be having high pressure area. So whenever high pressure area is happening, there will be descending winds. So here, whatever the pollutants are there, they will be very much close to the ground. It will not go beyond the ground. So because of this, even if you have very little amount of pollution, that will stay in our atmosphere for the longer duration of time. So whenever these pollutants are existed in the longer duration, then obviously what happens, we will inhale that. It will be having impact on our respiratory system, especially elderly and as well as children are more vulnerable to this asthma, cold, COPD, respiratory distress, whatever it may be. Okay. So now let us see this article. CJI recently argued that the firecracker ban should not be only in Delhi, but it must be nationwide. It is driven by principle of clean air. So actually recently in 2024, Supreme Court came up with a landmark judgment. That judgment is right to clean environment is a fundamental right. It comes under part of 21. So because of that judgment which is given by Supreme Court in 2024, it said that the principle of clean air is a fundamental right. It is not only for the elite people, even whoever the status, whatever the status of the people is, everyone has this right of inhaling of clean air. That comes under Article 21. So because of this, we have to impose it the nationwide. And why this statement made by the CJI is CJI emphasized that equally entitled, everyone is entitled to pollution free air, which is mainly referring his own observation of worse winter pollution in Amritsar compared to that of Delhi. So actually he faced problems that not only in Delhi, even in Amritsar also we have bad air pollution. So that means not only Delhi is impacting, but even most of this tier 1 and as well as metropolitan cities, you are facing this problem. Why only in Delhi? We have to impose across the nationwide. And he also said that uh, the problem of this air pollution is widespread. It is not only in certain centers. And this one here is he also made certain arguments that whenever we are imposing ban in only Delhi, that deserves a special treatment because elites live there. Why only Delhi? But even in other areas, all people are living. So all the citizens have this equal fundamental rights. So fundamental rights are not there only for the elites of the people. Elites are nothing but rich of the people. But even poor people have this right to life, which comes under Article 21. All are equal before the law, right? So, but why only in Delhi? We have to come up with imposition throughout our country. We cannot leave the cities during the severe pollution spikes. That's the thing he mainly said. Yeah, so why not only Delhi? Because winter pollution is also seen in different hotspots like Amritsar, Lucknow, Kanpur, Mumbai. They also experience severe air pollution like or worse than even Delhi because of local practices like weather and firecrackers. So we have to impose ban throughout the country. That is the thing he mainly said. And now you guys tell me what will be the impact of this statement which made by the CJ. Do we have any impact? What is that impact? First one is if you're banning throughout our nation, what happens? We can ensure clean air. It is okay. Next, we can save our environment. It's also good. Then what are the negative things? Especially certain areas, their economies depend on this manufacturing of firecrackers. For example, Sivakasi area of Tamil Nadu. What about their economy? What about their livelihood? Will be impacted or not? So several people in that region will be enter into this debt trap because of loss of employment opportunities. Because from generations onwards, they are focusing on only this work, making of firecrackers. So that will also leads to loss of livelihood. Next, any other thing that you can add here? Youth won't obey it. Even societal impact, psychological impact. So normally festival, Diwali is nothing but firing of or bursting of crackers. So if there are no crackers, so can we get that satisfaction of celebrating the festivals? No? No. Okay. So that will be the impact. The first one is we can get pollution free so that we can improve the health of the people, especially during this Diwali, and even we can reduce incidence of respiratory illness, heart problems, etc. And if you see the economic impacts, it will be affecting this fireworks industries hard. It will impact the jobs, livelihoods, especially in this manufacturing clusters. And this one is if you want to impose that, we have to make certain changes in our Environment Protection Act also. So that will be like one important and great challenge, guys. Okay, now let us see the next article, see this title. Withdrawal of monsoon likely to begin around September 15, says IMD. Very, very important topic. So normally this topic is important from your monsoon chapter from your geography. So normally monsoon winds will enter into India on June 1st and it will be spreading throughout our country. And after coming to our country and after spreading of the country, they'll go back. That is called as withdrawal or retreating monsoons, and it's going to be start around September 15th. So please do refer that from your geography, guys, because already time is running out. So see this next article and the last article. RTI's shift to a right to deny information. So you know about this RTI, right? RTI is nothing but Right to Information Act. When we came up with this RTI in year 2005. So after we came up with this RTI, it empowered the people. Now people, if they want to get any information, they can file RTI just by paying how much? 10 rupees, and they can get whatever information they want from the government. So actually this article is saying that RTIs shift to a right to deny information. RTI is nothing but right information. So government officials have to give information. But now there is a shift in 2025. What is that shift? They are not giving the information. Okay, let us see why they are not giving information. I'll give you some examples where they are not giving information as well. Okay, so this article is very important from your governance point of view, and even in ethics also you have this topic. In your ethics classes, I will be discussing detail about what is RTI, everything. Okay, how we can file an RTI, everything I will be showing. Okay, so now let us see the context. Okay, so actually we came up with this RTI framework in 2020, in 2005, and now in 2025, that is around 20 years, that is around 2 decades, lots of changes we got in our governance system. So this article is saying that we made certain changes by introducing of this Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Okay, so we came up with Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. So because of this now, this RTI became as right to deny information because of this act. Okay, it is talking about personal data protection. So what it is, so if you are, just I will give you a simple example. So if you download any app in your mobile, you will be downloading lots of apps, right? So if you download any apps, what it will say after downloading and after installing, it is asking that give permission to access your photos, images, mobile numbers, contacts, everything, right? So you'll simply click allow without reading all those. You'll simply click allow. Allow means nothing but now they have access to your mobile entirely. Whatever data they want, they can take. Right. So because of this, there is a huge privacy issues that came. So to control that, government came up with this digital personal data protection. That means nothing but digitally, if your data is available for protecting of your data, government came up with this digital personal data protection. So if you're asking any data, in that data, they also have their personal data, right? So now according to this act, you should not give the personal data without the permission of that person. But for example, if you ask any data and if you filed any information, or if you want to get any data of any person and if you file this RTA, will they give this data? No. Why? Because this act is clearly saying that you should not give the personal data of a person. But what is the need of filing this RTI? Okay, so the objective of this RTI is to provide transparency and accountability, but it is now denied by passing of this Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Okay, so now let us see the examples. So here we came up with this DPDP Act, and it said it mainly altered Section 8(1) of RTI Act. So in this Section 8 of RTI Act, which mainly says that removing larger public interest. So whenever you are filing any RTI regarding information about any public authorities to release any information, it served greater public accountability. Even if personal information is involved, they have to give earlier. Earlier, if there is any personal information also, if it is a larger public interest, they have to give that. They have to issue that information. But because of this act which changed the Section 8, they are not releasing this personal information of anyone. Okay, now nearly any information is termed as personal data, it can be denied, regardless of relevance to governance or corruption or whatever it may be. Now they are not going to give any information. For example, if you want to get any information of your MLA, how much property is having, are there any cases, are there any criminal cases or civil cases against him? So it is about his personal data. Now it won't. So RTI will be not disclosing that kind of data. So earlier it used to disclose that data before 2023. And this one is erosion of proactive disclosure. Authorities are now more empowered to refuse this disclosure of data. So now this act gave the power to the authorities that I will not give this information. Okay, yeah. And next one here is there is also increased bureaucratic delays, and even we know that we have central information commissioners and as well state information commissioners. So always there will be delays in appointment of this information commissioners. So and even these officials, they are not now accountable for this disclosure of this information. So because of this, right to information became right to deny of information now, because of this DPDP Act of 2023, guys. Okay. So examples of denial, I gave like 3 examples. Previously, RTI activists used to expose scams like Adarsh housing, Vyapam scam, misuse of funds, illegal appointments. With this new law, asset details, qualifications of that authorities, and disciplinary records, transfer postings, they are not at all releasing this information. So again, there is denial of information now. And this one is, there is also a request for list of beneficiaries of government schemes or details on public project contractors. And now again, if you want to get the information regarding who got this contract, why this person got contracts, again it is personal information of that guy. So they are again not giving that information. And this one is, if you want any detail regarding any public servant accountability, regarding any government servant or recent CIC information or high court rulings, everything, again they are denying this kind of information. And why we have to file this RTI? So the whole objective of this RTI had been eroded because of this just one act came up by the government. Okay. Yeah, what is the impact? What happens? There will be decreasing or weakening of accountability transparency in our governance. And this one is, there is threat to whistleblowers. So over 100 RTI activists have reportedly been attacked and killed because of exposing of bad governance. And also weakening of RTI heightens the risk, highlights the risk, and as well as reducing the both deterrence and as well as transparency. So actually, who are the whistleblowers? Have you heard this word whistleblowers? Whistleblowers are nothing but the people who works in that organization, who will expose anything which is wrong, which is happening in that organization. They are called as whistleblowers. So if they are filing any RTI, so they know who filed. So based on that, they are attacking and they are killing those whistleblowers. There is no protection for these whistleblowers who want to try to expose any corruption or wrongdoing which is happening in that organization. So recently, I think you might have studied, I think you might have seen about this Dharmasthala case issue. So in that, the one person who worked as this manual scavenger, he came out and he exposed it. He tried to expose something. He is called as whistleblower. Whistleblower is nothing but who worked in that organization, who came outside to expose if there is any wrong or corruption which happened in that so-and-so organization. Clear? And this one is chilling effect on journalism, and even these journalists and NGOs, they will face biggest hurdles for uncovering wrongdoing. If they get the data, then only they can show the reports, they can show the data. If they're not getting the data, can they expose the scams? No, obviously no. Okay, so these are the things that you have to remember, guys. So these are the very important topics that happened in our today's Hindi newspaper. By this I'm concluding. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and please do like this class and share this class. And please do subscribe to this Rathod Science Academy, and you can follow us on our Instagram page.